Every night I hear a baby crying under my bed. But I don't have a child. At first, I thought it was my mind playing tricks, until the voice called me Mama.
I woke up again to that sound. A baby crying. Soft at first, then louder. At first, I thought it was coming from outside. Maybe one of my neighbors had a newborn. But when I listened closely, I realized something that froze the blood in my veins. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from under my bed. My eyes snapped open. I sat up slowly, heart hammering in my chest. The room was dark, too quiet, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like something alive is listening with you. "Hello." My voice shook. "Who's there?" No answer. Only the cry again. Small. Sad. Real. I reached for my phone with trembling hands and turned on the flashlight. I leaned down slowly, every muscle in my body tight with fear. The beam of light slid across the floor. Empty. Just my slippers, a box, and dust. But the crying hadn't stopped. It was right there, underneath me. I jumped up from the bed, gasping. "Stop it! Who are you?" The cry faded. Then silence. Only my breathing filled the room. For a moment, I just stood there, too scared to move, too weak to scream. I didn't even turn off the flashlight. I sat on the floor until morning, shaking like a child. When the sun finally rose, I told myself I'd imagined it. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe stress was getting to me again. I had moved into this small apartment 3 months ago after the divorce. Everything still smelled like paint and loneliness. My husband left after I lost the baby. He said he couldn't stay in a house that reminded him of grief. I didn't blame him. Sometimes, even I couldn't stay in my own skin without feeling haunted. That night, I made sure every light was on before I lay down. I played soft music on my phone to fill the silence. I prayed, but at 2:14 a.m., I heard it again. That same heartbreaking cry, weak, trembling, desperate. Wah wah! I froze. My heart pounded against my chest so hard it hurt. I whispered, "God, not again." The cry grew louder. It sounded like a baby in pain. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. My hand shook as I slowly turned off the music. The cry stopped too. Complete silence. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, I heard it. "Mama." My blood ran cold. I fell off the bed and crawled backward, my eyes wide, my breath coming fast. Tears rushed to my eyes as my back hit the wall. No, no, no. I'm hearing things. I'm not crazy. I'm not. I cried. But deep down, I knew that voice. I had heard it once before, in the hospital, on the day my baby died. The next morning, I told Grace, my only friend in the building. She's older, calm, the type who believes everything has a reason. "Are you sure it wasn't a dream?" she asked. "I wasn't sleeping," I said quickly. "It was real." I heard her. She called me Mama. Grace sighed softly and looked away. Sometimes grief finds ways to speak to us. Maybe it's not a ghost. Maybe it's your pain. "My pain doesn't cry like a baby," I said bitterly. She squeezed my hand. "Then let's pray tonight." "I'll come over." I agreed. But that night, she didn't show up. She texted that her daughter had a fever. So I was alone again. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, refusing to sleep. The silence felt heavier than ever. I wanted to believe it was just my mind, just grief playing tricks again. But deep inside, something told me tonight would be different. And I was right, because just before dawn, when the world was still quiet, I heard it again. Not a cry this time, but a tiny voice whispering softly, "Mom, can you hear me now?" I didn't sleep that morning. The words kept replaying in my head like an echo I couldn't turn off. "Mom, can you hear me now?" I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, my heart numb, my mind spinning. It sounded so real, so close, so full of need. I wanted to believe it wasn't real, that my tired mind was only trying to comfort itself. But the way that little voice said "Mom," it had the same softness, the same warmth that lived in my dreams. By sunrise, I was still sitting there. My eyes were swollen from tears I didn't even feel falling. When I stepped out to get some fresh air, the world outside looked too normal. Birds singing, children walking to school, people laughing like life hadn't stopped for them. But for me it had. I walked aimlessly, hoping movement would calm me. Somehow, I found myself standing in front of the small hospital where I'd lost my baby a year ago. My legs went weak. I hadn't been here since that day. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I could still smell the antiseptic. I could still hear that one cry, short, weak, and then silence. I turned to leave, but a soft voice behind me said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" It was a nurse holding a file. Her face looked kind. "Yes," I lied. "I used to know someone here." She smiled faintly. "You look like someone who's still waiting for answers." Her words hit something deep inside me. I blinked fast. "Do answers ever come?" She sighed. "Sometimes they do. Just not the way we expect." When I got home that evening, I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. Answers. Was that what this voice wanted? Was it trying to tell me something I didn't know? I went into my room and sat on the floor beside the bed. The space beneath it looked normal, quiet, dusty, empty. But the air felt heavy again, as if someone was listening. I whispered softly, "If you're really there, if you can hear me, tell me what you want." No reply. Only silence. But somehow, that silence felt alive, like it was waiting for the right moment. Later that night, I was folding clothes when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Grace. "Are you okay?" I couldn't sleep. "I had a strange dream about your baby." My hand froze. I quickly called her. "What did you see?" Grace hesitated. "I saw you standing by a cradle. A baby was crying, but when you lifted the blanket, there was only a small golden bracelet lying there. It had the name Hope on it." Tears filled my eyes. That was the name I planned to give my daughter. Hope. But no one knew that. Not even Grace. "Grace," I whispered, trembling. "How did you know that name?" She went quiet for a long moment, then said, "I don't know, Lily. But maybe your child is trying to reach you." I sat there long after the call ended, staring at my hands. Could it be true? I opened my old box of baby things, the one I promised myself I'd never touch again. Inside were small clothes, a photo from the ultrasound, and a hospital bracelet with my name on it. Then something caught my eye. A folded piece of paper tucked under the blanket. I don't remember keeping any paper there. With shaky fingers, I opened it. It was a note, old and creased, written in my late husband's handwriting. "Lily, if you ever see this, please forgive me. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I couldn't carry the secret any longer. The doctor told me something you never knew about the baby." My breath caught. My heart pounded. The letter ended there. The rest was torn off. I stared at it, my whole body trembling. "What secret?" I whispered. "What did you know?" That night, I couldn't eat. Couldn't think. I just sat in the dark, holding the letter, waiting. 2 a.m. passed. 2:10 a.m. 2:13. Then at 2:14 a.m., a soft sound again. But this time not crying. It was humming. A sweet lullaby. The same one I used to sing when I was pregnant. Tears filled my eyes as I whispered, "Is that you, my baby?" The humming stopped. Then a gentle voice replied, "Mom, don't be sad. I'm not lost, but Daddy lied." I didn't move for a long time. The words kept echoing in my ears. "Mom, don't be sad. I'm not lost, but Daddy lied." My heart beat so hard I could hear it. I looked around the quiet room, trying to understand what I had just heard. "Daddy lied?" I whispered to myself. What did he lie about? The baby's voice didn't return that night. Only silence filled the air, soft and deep, like the room itself was thinking. But I couldn't sleep again. Not after those words. By morning, I made up my mind. If there was something my late husband hid from me, I had to know. I couldn't keep living between pain and questions. I went back to the hospital, carrying the torn letter in my purse. When I walked in, I met the same nurse from the other day. She recognized me instantly. "You came back," she said kindly. I nodded. "Yes. I need to know the truth about my baby." Her expression changed. "Your name, please?" I gave it to her, my voice shaking. She checked the old records, flipping through dusty files. Then she paused and looked at me carefully. "Lily," she said slowly, "the doctor who handled your case isn't here anymore. But there's something you should see." She handed me a sealed envelope from the drawer. "This was left in your file." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was another note from my husband. "If you ever read this, Lily, please know I did it to protect you. The baby was never gone. She was taken alive. The doctor said she was still breathing faintly when they took her away for tests. But he lied to you, said she didn't make it. I signed the papers they gave me because they promised she would be safe, but I never saw her again." The paper slipped from my hand. My knees gave way. The nurse caught me before I hit the floor. "Alive?" I whispered. "My baby was alive?" She nodded slowly, her eyes wet. "It seems someone arranged an adoption behind your back." The rest of that day felt like walking through a dream. The nurse helped me reach an old adoption agency in town. After long hours and endless papers, they found a match, a child named Hope, born the same date as mine. The woman who adopted her lived only a few towns away. My heart raced as I sat in the cab, hands clasped tightly, praying with every breath. When I reached the small blue house, my legs wouldn't move. I just stood there, staring at the garden filled with sunflowers, my favorite flower. A sign from heaven, I thought. I finally gathered the courage and knocked. A woman opened the door. She looked gentle, maybe in her late 40s. Behind her, I saw a little girl sitting on the floor, coloring quietly. She had my eyes. The woman smiled politely. "Can I help you?" My voice shook. I think your daughter and I share something." She looked confused at first, but when I told her everything, the hospital, the letter, the name Hope, tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "I didn't know she had a mother still alive. They told me she was abandoned after birth. I'm so sorry." I wiped my face quickly. "You've done nothing wrong. You gave her the life I couldn't." She stepped aside gently. "Would you like to meet her?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. The little girl looked up as I entered. Her smile was soft, innocent. She had curly hair and the same dimple her father used to have. "Hi," she said shyly. I knelt slowly, tears blurring my vision. "Hi, sweetheart." She looked at me carefully, then tilted her head. "You look like me." I laughed through my tears. "Maybe that's because I've been looking for you all my life." Her small hand reached out and touched my cheek. "You feel warm," she whispered. My heart broke and healed at the same time. I hugged her gently, breathing in the smell of crayons and sunlight. It was real. She was real. My baby wasn't gone. She had lived. And somehow, even from wherever souls rest, she had found her way back to me. That night, I sat on my bed, the same bed where I used to hear her cry. But this time the house felt lighter. No crying, no whispers, no shadows under the bed. Only peace. I looked at the little golden bracelet on my wrist, the one Hope had given me before I left. It had her name on it, just like in Grace's dream. Maybe love had been guiding me all along. Maybe pain was just the path that led me back to her. I whispered softly into the quiet air, "Thank you for never giving up on me." And though there was no sound, I felt it, a calm warmth in the room, like the air itself was smiling. For the first time in years, I lay down and slept peacefully. No tears, no fear, just love, quiet, gentle, real. A year later, I moved to a new town, closer to Hope and her adoptive mother. We became one family, sharing love instead of loss. Every morning, Hope runs into my arms and says, "Good morning, Mom." And every time she does, I remember that night, the cry that started it all. It wasn't a haunting. It was a calling. A mother's heart hearing her child's voice across the walls of time. And now, that cry has finally turned into laughter. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to get notified for more intruding stories.